I will be discussing about my findings for question 2 of my stochastic calculus computer-based test. So the question states that Barclays Engliston stock has a current price of 48, which means the time zero stock price is 48, and the annual volatility is 28%. So the sigma will be 0.28, and the dividend yield is 3.5%, 0.035. The stock price follows the binomial models with 24 periods, so there will be 24 steps in the binomial tree, each of length 1 month. The continuously compounded risk-free interest rate is 6% per annum, so the R will be 0.06. And the H is just 1 divided by 12, so you'll get 0.083. So the question asks us to determine the price for a 2-year at-the-money European call option and the price for a 2-year at-the-money American put option. So since it is at the money, the strike price will also be similar to the initial stock price, which is 48. So K equals 48. So to do the binomial tree, we first have to find the upper value and the down value. So the upper value, we just follow the formula, which is exponential bracket R minus the dividend yield times the period, which is H, plus sigma, and then the square root of H. So after keying in the function, I will get 1.086. And for the lower value, it's just the same formula, but the positive just changed into a negative sign, and then you'll get this value. To get the P star value, it's simply just the formula here, which is exponential R minus D times H minus the lower value over the upper value minus the lower value. So you'll get the value here, and 1 minus P star is basically just Q star, which is 1 minus the value here. You'll get this. So to construct the binomial tree, we first lay out all the steps, which is 0 up to 24, and the period, which is H. So since there are 2 years, there are 24 months in this question, we'll take the H divided it by 2, or the function will simply be if error, the above step divided by the number of steps, which is 24, comma 0. After entering the value, you just drag across, and then the values will look something like this. To construct a binomial tree for the stock price, so the function of the binomial tree is basically just this. So if the box in front of it is blank, and if the box above it is blank, then this value here will be blank. But if the value of B17 is not blank, then we'll take B17 times the lower value. And if the value of B18 is not blank, we'll take the value of B18 times the upper value. So upon pressing enter, you just drag across all the way to the right and all the way down. Next, to find the values of the call option, we first need to find the payoff, which is the function equals to max of the stock price minus the strike price, comma 0. After entering, you just have to drag it all the way to the bottom. And then to find the values, the first value or up to the 23rd step, we have to work from right to left. So the function is if this value here is blank, then this value will be blank. But if this value is not blank, then take P star times the upper value plus 1 minus P star times this value here, and the total of that times the exponential of negative R times H. After entering, just drag all the way across and all the way down. For the put option, we first have to find the payoff, which is equals to max of the strike price minus the stock price, comma 0. Do the same, drag all the way to the bottom, and you get all the payoff for when the period is 24. And then as usual, we'll work from the right to left. So the function is if this value here is blank, then this value will be blank. But if it is not blank, then we'll take this value times P star plus the lower value times 1 minus P star times and then that, the total of that times the exponential of negative r times h. Yep. And then hit enter, and just do the same, drag it all across and drag it all the way down, and you will get all the values here. And then the question also requires us to find the value of delta, gamma, and theta at time 0 for this 2-year at the money European call option. So to find the time 0 delta, it is simply just the exponential of negative delta times h times the value, which is the call, times the upper value, which will give you this, minus the lower value over the stock price, the upper stock price minus the lower stock price. That will give you the time 0 delta. And to get the time 0 gamma, we first have to find the time h deltas, which is the upper node and the lower node. So for the up node, we just take exponential negative delta times h times the call option upper, which is this value here, minus the upper lower value, which is this, over the stock price upper minus the stock price upper and lower value, which is this. So we'll get the up node, and the down node is basically just the same, but we will take the upper lower and the lower value instead. And then to find the time 0 gamma is basically just the up node minus the down node over the stock price times the upper value minus the stock price times the lower value. To find the time 0 theta, we first have to find the epsilon, which is basically just the stock price times the upper and lower value minus the initial stock price. That will give us the epsilon, which is 0.200417. And then from there, we just sub it into this formula to find the theta, which is the call option times the upper and lower value minus the epsilon times time 0 delta minus 0.5 times the time 0 gamma times epsilon squared minus the initial call option price over 2 times h. That will give us this, negative 1.9374.